breach itself was pretty minor. I mean, it's not that big a deal. It's probably the least interesting one I've ever read. Somebody left a remote access to a data center. Somebody got access to the data center, and they were able to compromise a single server out of thousands that NordVPN operates. And for those users that depend on that for their to remain anonymous, to get around nation states that are trying to shut them up, and for making sure that I can stream my favorite TV shows by looking like I'm coming from the U.S. It's important for somebody, but the trust that's put into those VPN providers is a big deal, and I think that's why it's important. I think they're taking good steps, and I think they've been transparent. From my perspective, this wouldn't scare me away from NordVPN. In fact, it'd probably do the opposite. A little scare is probably good. Helps them think of this differently. They obviously understand their importance and their role that they're playing, and they're taking some good steps to counteract this.
I think the key piece is that how does this affect people's confidence in VPN service, as opposed to how much of a technically and from a business and its business impact. They're on two different scales. On a technical merit, it's a minor incident given, but on in terms of its publicity, it does undermine people's confidence. So just reading a quick article on PC Mag, they say they had chosen to rate NordVPN up there as a 5-star VPN service. Now they have lowered it to 4-star.
Security becomes a competitive advantage at some point, especially when you're in this VPN business. The better security, the better anonymity that you can offer to your users, that's a competitive advantage, and I think the others will follow suit, or they will lose business.
There is an independent estimated number of users who may have been affected is up to 200.
Right.
NordVPN's policy is they keep 0 records, right? So no audits. That's the key unique selling point.
But I agree with Ash. One of the things is as that trusted provider, you're already going to the lengths of saying, hey, we're not going to collect logs. We're not going to we're going to not perform audits of what you're looking at and all those things, which is really cool. But they should take that the next step and say, you know what, even expired private keys and things like that, it's probably worth investing in HSMs to protect those keys on hardware so that nobody can ever extract them. It's impossible. So I'll put it this way: I'm not scared away from NordVPN. In fact, reading their response and understanding their transparency through this whole thing, I would probably be more likely to use them following this incident than less likely.
Yeah, I think it comes across as a more responsible provider.
Yeah, I think the impact of this was actually pretty low, which is fortunate for them, right? Because some of these things can have a major impact and can destroy your business. They got fortunate because the impact was low. They're trying to let people know, hey, the impact of this was low. There, basically was no impact. No user data was compromised. No traffic was compromised. They had other security practices in place that the data wasn't being data wasn't being stored. Logs weren't being stored on there. They had other mitigating factors in place that prevented a worse outcome. But they also recognize that, hey, it's still not good enough, and we're going to take additional steps now to make sure something like this doesn't happen again. These steps won't make them 100% secure, and the 10 steps that come after the next one won't make them 100%. I mean, at the end of the day, it's an arms race for security, and at some point, if you have a service, it's available on the internet, and it's open to the internet. Eventually, it's going to get attacked, and it could be compromised, and it could be because of something completely out of your control, like a data center that leaves the door unlocked, or it could be because of upstream libraries. None of these companies are writing every bit of code themselves in house. They're all relying on other libraries that come from upstream, and any compromise in any of those could result. So it's all about mitigating factors. How much risk can you mitigate? And a good, I think this is a good example that they had already had steps in place to mitigate a lot of that risk, because they're not storing user data. The way that they're routing VPN traffic didn't, even though this compromise was there, it didn't expose any of those. It didn't expose usernames and passwords. And so
Correct.
I think that's a good thing.
And in this specific case, like Justin said, they were very lucky because the data center provider, the lease provider, actually realized the breach, and they fixed it on their end by removing the vulnerable account within 2 weeks. So let's say they were lucky,
but they didn't tell their customers for a
they
year.
And
it probably just came up in a meeting. It's like, oh yeah, remember that?
By the way,
somebody's like, shut up. We're not telling people about that. Not
right. Oops, someone had already spilled the beans. But it's crazy that this happened in the way it did. But absolutely, there are multiple attack vectors. So absolutely spot on, Justin. Yeah, they've been lucky, but they've also got defense in depth here. And some of the practices already being followed by this provider were, worked in their favor because they didn't store any of the user information.
Yep. Yeah. At the end of the day, crap happens. We put these computers on networks, and they're going to be targeted. They're going to be hacked. It's some of it's just opportunity, and some of it's not. I think the better measure is how a company is responding to those and being transparent with it. And it seems like they've done a good job.